Hi, good day. Welcome back to our class in biochemistry. Today, we will perform activity number 3 on colloids. The first procedure to be performed in colloids is the dialysis. Now, in performing this activity on dialysis, we're going to have two setups. One will be for the ferric hydroxide and the other one will be for the potassium chromate. We will fill these beakers half filled with water. These are the dialysis tubes in which we are going to place ferric hydroxide into this dialysis tube, and on the other dialysis tube we are going to place potassium chromate. We will put 4 ml of its reagent. And we will suspend this into the first setup. Situated at the bottom part of the dialysis tube just touches the surface of the liquid in the beaker. To the second dialysis tube, let us put this with the potassium chromate. In like manner, we are going to submerge this also, such that the bottom part of the dialysis tube just touches the surface of the water inside the beaker. And we will observe these setups after 20 minutes. So let's put this aside for a while. For the next procedure, we're going to filter 2 ml of the ferric hydroxide. Let us try to observe what happens if you're going to filter the ferric hydroxide. So this is our filter paper. You fold it this way for you to use in filtration operation. Then you are going to cut a little at the corner. Then before it is being used, we have to wet this with water. Then place this into the funnel. And we will filter the ferric hydroxide. Let us just use 2 ml. Now, What I would like you to observe is the original color of the ferric hydroxide before it is being filtered and after the ferric hydroxide has been filtered. So for the sake of comparison, I would like you to compare these two. The unfiltered one this is the unfiltered one, not being filtered, and this is the other one which is filtered. Observe. For the next procedure, we are going to boil 10 ml of water and into which we are going to dissolve a gelatin. And I would like you to observe what happens to the gelatin. So we will boil 10 ml of the water into this test tube. And once this is boiled, we are going to pour this gelatin into the boiled water. So this is the gelatin. We're going to put this into the boiled water. And I want you to observe what happens. Observe what happens. Then, let us allow this to cool a little bit before we are going to run down this water in order to solidify the gelatin solution. For procedure number 4, we are going to get 10 ml of the distilled water, place it in a test tube, and let's add it with 1 ml of coconut oil. And I want you to observe what happens. Let's add into this distilled water 1 ml of the coconut oil. This is the coconut oil. Then let's add 1 ml to the distilled water. Then we will shake this vigorously. So by vigorous shaking, you do it this way. Then after shaking vigorously, I would like you to observe what happens. And we will let this settle for a while. Let's set it aside here. And we will have another observation later. Next is, we will get again 10 ml of water. Then we will add it with 10 drops of soap solution and add 1 ml of the coconut oil. And we will shake it vigorously about 10 seconds. I want you to observe what happens. This is distilled water. This is the soap solution. And we are going to add 10 drops of this soap solution into the distilled water. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we will add 1 ml of the coconut oil into this mixture of the distilled water and the soap solution. And we will shake this vigorously. I want you to observe what happens. Then let's put this aside and we will make the observations later. Let's go to procedure number 5. Precipitation of electrolytes. Now, what do you mean by electrolyte? Electrolyte is a substance that conducts electricity when in solution. We will use here the 3 reagents, which are the sodium chloride, the calcium chloride, and the chromic chloride. So for this procedure in precipitation of electrolytes, we are going to take 6 ml of the arsenosulfide colloid, and let's divide this into 3 parts. So this is the arsenosulfide. We will use 6 ml of this and we will divide this into 3 parts. To the first test tube containing the arsenic sulfide, let us add here sodium chloride until coagulation occurs. Okay, so we have placed here 20 drops of the sodium chloride. To the second test tube containing the arsenic sulfide, we will add here drop by drop the calcium chloride until coagulation occurs. So with just 1 or 2 drops, observe. To the third test tube containing the arsenic sulfide, we are going to add here chromic chloride. Let's add it drop by drop until coagulation occurs. 2, 3, 4, 5. Observe. Precipitate. Lumain yung coagulant. Kana mo. Sige. I added about 7 drops. I want you to compare the results of the 3 test tubes in which they are added with sodium chloride, the second is calcium chloride, and the third is chromic chloride. For the last procedure, that is on number 6, is on the protective action of colloid. Let us use here about 4 ml of the ferric hydroxide, and we will divide it into 3 equal parts. To one of these test tubes, we are going to add 2 ml of the arsenic sulfide. And observe. Observe what happens. Then to the second test tube, we are going to add equal volume of the gelatin solution that we have saved a while ago, and we will shake it vigorously. Then we will add 2 ml of the arsenic sulfide. Then compare the two. The third test tube serves as our control. Then I want you to observe the 3. The control, in which you did not add anything. To the first, you added the arsenic sulfide. To the second, you added the gelatin solution before you add the arsenic sulfide. Compare the colors. At the start of this experiment or activity, we had the dialysis set up, and we set it aside for us to observe for some time. So let's go back to that setup. Observe what happens. We will have to cover this with a white background so that you can see well what happens to the color after they have been allowed to settle for some time. Remember that this was filled with the ferric hydroxide and the other one was filled with the potassium chromate. What happens to the water in the beaker where the ferric hydroxide is placed, and what happened to the color of the water where it is placed with the dialysis tube containing the potassium chromate. Observe. A while ago, we were heating this water added with the gelatin, and it was found out that it was melted and we formed a gelatin solution. Then we were asked to cool it down, and we will finally cool this with the running water. Okay, observe what happens. A while ago it was liquefied and it is called a gelatin solution. Now after cooling it for some time and then running it with cold water, then I want you to observe what happens. So you cannot pour it out anymore. So it has solidified, and this is now called a gel. So I want you to define what is a gelatin solution, and I want you to define what is a gel. So those are all for the activity today on colloids. What I would like you to do is to write all the observations you have made and also answer the questions given in the lab guide. That is all for today. This is your teacher, Professor Ruiz of Holy Name University.